Let's solve this question on area approximation. Complete the table below for the function y is equals to x squared minus 3x plus 6 in the range that is given there from -2 to 8. The other question, use the trapezium rule with 10 strips to estimate the area bounded by the curve y is equals to x squared minus 3x plus 6. The lines x is equals to -2, x is equals to 8, and the x-axis. Part B, use the mid-ordinate rule with 5 strips to estimate the area bounded by the curve y is equals to x squared minus 3x plus 6. The lines x is equals to -2, x is equals to 8, and the x-axis. Then part C, by integration, determine the actual area bounded by the curve y is equals to x squared minus 3x plus 6, and those lines, the same lines, so 2 marks. Let's go to the first part. On the first part, you're supposed to use a calculator to fill that table. You get 2 marks. You're using the function, that function y is equals to x squared minus 3x plus 6. So these are we're supposed to do. So you're going to substitute the values of x in that function. For example, the first one, x is equals to -2. So using the function y is equals to x squared, so you substitute x with -2. So like the first one, when x is equals to -2, you're going to substitute -2. So ensure you put the brackets. So you're squaring -2 squared, then subtract 3, x is -2 again, and then plus 6. So that gives 16. The next one, when x is -1, so -1 squared minus 3 multiplied by -1 plus 6. Sorry, so you have -1 squared, then subtract 3, x is -1, then plus 6, that gives 10. Then when x is 0, that one is easy. When x is 0, because you just need to substitute where we have x, so x squared, that will be 0 squared minus 3, 0. So this will be, y will be 6. So y will be 6. The next one, when x is 1, what is y? So x squared, so that will be 1 squared minus 3 times 1 will be 3, then plus 6. So that will give 4. When x is 2, that will be 2 squared minus 3 multiplied by 2 plus 6. That will give 4 again. When x is 3, we have 3 squared minus 3 multiplied by 3, then plus 6. That will give 6. So 3 squared minus 3, yes, that is okay. That is 6. Then when x is 4, so you have 4 squared minus 3 multiplied by 4 plus 6. That will be 10. When x is 5, so this will be 5 squared minus 3 multiplied by 5 plus 6, that will be 16. Then we write this one properly, so this will be 16. When x is 6, so this will be 6 squared minus 3 multiplied by 6 plus 6, that will give 24. When it is 7, so you have 7 squared minus 3 multiplied by 7 plus 6, that will be 34. And then when x is 8, so you have 8 squared minus 3 multiplied by 8 plus 6, that gives 46. So that is how you're supposed to use the calculator to work out that part. We go to the next part. So part A of the question, use the trapezium rule with 10 strips to estimate the area bounded by the curve y is equals to x squared minus 3x plus 6, and those lines from x is equals to -2 to x is equals to 8. So using the trapezium rule. Now to understand these, I've tried to draw the sketch of this curve. You don't need to draw it, but I'm drawing it for the purposes of explanation, just to show you how you get the 10 strips or which are the strips. So that function, if you draw that curve, this is what you're going to get from the interval x is equals to -2 to x is equals to 8. So to get the strips, you're going to get the heights, and these are the heights that you have calculated. These are the heights. So from this is 2, then this is, you can join them. So these are the heights that you've just calculated. So those are the heights. So the heights are here. So those are the heights. Now, what is a strip? A strip is this segment. So you require to have 10 strips. So this is what we call a strip. This one, the one that I'm shading, that is one strip. That is one strip. So you can see how many there are. So you can shade all of them. So I can help you count. So that segment that I've shaded there, that is one strip. So you can see there are 10. So name them. So this is the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth, the fifth, the 6th, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So those are the 10 strips. Then what we just filled in the table were the height of each of those strips. And I've let those heights to be y from y0. I've named them so that I can have an easy time when I'm using the formula. So the first height, that is 16, I've named it as y0, then y1, all the way to the last one, the last height, which is 46, that is y10. So those heights are here from this sketch. The first height, so the y0 is here. Y0 is why we have -2. So when x is -2, what did we get as the height? The height is 16. So 16. So 16 is here. So this height is 16. Then you can go on and on when x is -1. So when x is -1, you can go on. When x is -1, it is 10. When x is -1, this height here is 10. And so on, up to the last one. When x is 8, what is that height? It is 40. We've got this one as 46. So those are the heights that you're going to use. Now, after identifying that, another thing that you need to identify is the height of each of these strips. The height is uniform, and this is the height. So this is the height here. So that height is 1. For all of them, the height is uniform. From these intervals, from -2 to -1, that height is 1. From -1 to 0, that height is 1. So height is 1. Height of each of those strips is 1. Now, after looking at that graph, now let's go to the trapezium rule, also referred to as the trapezoidal rule. Trapezium rule says that area is given by half multiplied by the height, then y0 plus y10. I'm using this table here so you can understand. Then plus twice half times the height. I've shown you the height. Then y0 is the first height. The first height is 16. Then plus y10. Y10 is the last height. The last height. So the first and the last. Then plus twice all the others that are in the middle from y1 to y9. So from y1 plus y2 plus y3, you add them, plus y4 plus y5 plus y6 plus y7 plus y8 plus y9, like that. So that is the trapezoidal rule. Since we have the height, and there is another way of calculating the height. You can also get this height, which is we have identified as 1. Height of each strip is 1. You can get it by taking the difference in the interval. You are using the interval from -2 to 8. So get the difference, 8 subtract -2, then divide by the number of strips that you want. The number of strips that you want. And the number of strips are 10. We need 10. So this one will give you 10 over 10, and the height will be 1. So now let us substitute the values. So half, the trapezoidal rule. So the area will be given by half times 1. Then the first, which is y0, which is 16. Then the last, 46. Then plus twice the sum of all the middle. So from y1, so this will be 10 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4 plus 6 plus 10 plus 16 plus 24 plus 34, like that. So we work out this using a calculator. So a half times 1, that will give a half is same as 0.5. Then 16 plus 46, that will give 62. Plus, now you add everything there, 10 plus 6 all the way to 34. That will give 10 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4 plus 6 plus 10 plus 16 plus 24 plus that will give 228. 228, like that. So this one, when you work it out, you multiply. So 0.5 multiply by, put the brackets, then 62 plus 228, that will give 145 square units. So that is the area by use of the trapezoidal rule. We go to the next. Use the mid-ordinate rule with 5 strips to estimate the area bounded by the curve. Now we have calculated the using the trapezoidal rule. Now let's go to the mid-ordinate rule with 5 strips. The mid-ordinate rule. Again, I will take you to the figure or the graph that you drew, just to explain how we are going to get the 5 strips using the mid-ordinate rule. Remember, for the mid-ordinate rule, we use the midpoints of each of the strips. The midpoint of each of the strips. And here we need to have 5 strips. So already we have all these strips that are here are 10. So we require 5. So that means we are going to enlarge each strip or reduce these strips from 10 to 5. And reducing them from 10 strips to 5 means that you are going to have one larger strip. So the first strip, for example, the height was 1. This time, because we want a bigger strip, that means we are going to have a strip with a height of 2. How do we get that height? Let me start from there, because that is the first thing you're supposed to do. Now, to get the height of each strip, because we need 5, we shall take the difference in the interval. So 8 subtract -2, like that. Then divide by, we need 5 strips. This will give you the height of each strip. So that will give you 10 over 5, and that will be 2. So height of each strip, because we require 5 strips in that range, so the height is going to increase. So in the figure, let me show you how we shall do it now. So now we shall not have the height as 1 here, so the height will be 2. So that will be 1 strip. That will be 1 strip. And then that will be another strip. That will be another strip. Then from there, that will be another strip. So you can see the strips now, you can count them. Then that is another strip, then the last strips. So I have indicated the strips there. So that is one strip, then from here that is another strip. You can see the strips are becoming larger. Then that is another strip, that is another strip, that is another strip. So these are, if you count them, if you count these strips, if you count them, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strips. So now the strip will be bigger, and we shall have now the whole of these. This is now a single strip. That is a single strip. This one will be a single strip here. That will be a single strip. Now, using the mid-ordinate rule, we use the mid of each strip, the midpoint. We use the midpoint of each strip. For example, the first strip that starts from -2 to 0, what is the midpoint? So we are going to get the midpoint using this height. So this will be this is the one that you're going to use. That is the height that you're going to use. Then the other strip starts from 0 to 2. So we use the midpoint of that strip. So we are going to use that height. The other strip begins from 2 to 4. So we are going to use this height here. The other strip begins from 4 to 6. This is the this is the height that you're going to pick. Then the other one begins from 6 to 8. 6 to 8. That is the other strip. The midpoint of that strip, we are going to use this height here. So those are the heights that you're going to use. So we can extract the heights. We can extract the heights. Let us extract the height. So we shall have the height as follows. So x, y. So this is what you're going to have. So the first one is x is, this one I've pointed using an arrow, so -1. So the other one is 1. So from -1, so this one I'm going to use this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. I'm going to extract the x values. So -1, 1. So -1, 1, -1, 1, then 3, 5, and 7, 3, 5, and 7. So 3, 5, and 7. So getting the values of y, of course, you're using the first table. We already calculated that. So using this table that is here. So these are the ones that we have taken. These are the ones that you've taken. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when x is -1, y is 10. So 10, 4, 6. 10, 4, 6. 10, 4, 6. 16, 34. 16, 34. 16, 34. Now we have extracted now the 5 strips, and you have the heights. So the heights are here. These are the heights. So this is y0, y1, y2, y3, this is y4. Now let's go to the mid-ordinate rule. How does it state? The mid-ordinate rule formula is given by height multiplied by the sum of the ordinates. Like that. So this will be the height, we got it as 2. Then the sum of the ordinates, or the heights. Ordinates are the heights. The ordinates are the heights. Students always confuse between the ordinates and strips. Look at the strip. The strip is the one that I shaded. That segment that is shaded is the strip. Ordinate is that height that I'm using there. This height that is 10. That is the height. The height is the ordinate. The strip is the segment. So therefore, I'll have y0. This will be 10. So these are the ordinates, the heights. So 4 plus 6 plus 16 plus 34. And this one will give, when you add everything here, so this will be 2 multiplied by, I will get the sum. So this is 10 plus 4 plus 6 plus 16 plus 34. This will give 70. And this will give 140 square units. So that is the area by use of the mid-ordinate rule. We go to the last one. By integration, determine the actual area. Now, you need to understand this, that the actual area is the area given by integration. Integration gives the actual area. So, integration, how are we going to integrate this? When you're integrating, you need to be very keen. In some instances, you need to integrate twice, especially if you find there's an area that is above the x-axis and the other one is below the x-axis. In such a situation, you begin by getting the area above the x-axis, the positive one, and then you get the area below the x-axis. And remember, we ignore the negative when you're getting the area. In this case, I don't see any area that is below the x-axis. So we can integrate this one directly from -2 to 8. So by integration, so we shall integrate the function of this curve from -2 to 8 with respect to x. So this is x squared minus 3x plus 6 with respect to x, like that. So integrate x squared, you get x cubed divided by 3. Integrate 3x, you get 3x squared divided by 2. Integrate 6, you get 6x, then plus constant of integration, the square brackets, then -2 to 8. So from there, you begin by substituting 8, where we have x. Substitute x with 8. So we shall have, this one is x cubed, this is 8 cubed divided by 3 minus 3. 8 squared divided by 2 plus 6. This is 8. So for c, you don't need to carry the constant of integration, because once you carry it, you'll just be subtracted and it will be normal. You get 0 when you subtract it. So you can ignore it at the second stage. Then subtract. Now substitute x with -2. So -2 cubed divided by 3 minus 3. This is -2 squared divided by 2 plus 6, -2, like that. So the only thing you need now is proper use of the calculator to work out these. Simply need to use the calculator well. So let me start by this one. 8 cubed divided by 3. So 8 cubed divided by 3. So that one you get 170 and 2/3. Then 3 multiplied by 8 squared, which is 64, divided by 2. That will give 96. Then this one will be 48. To give 48. Like that. Then subtract -2 cubed. That will be -8. 8 divided by 3. 8 divided by 3. See that? So -2 cubed will be -8. So that will be -8. -8 over 3. -8 over 3. Then subtract. This will be 3 multiplied by -2 square, that is 4. This 12, so that will be 6. Then minus 12. like that. So once you've done that, you can simply work out. You can work out this part here, 170 and 2/3. So let me work it out. So 170 and 2/3 minus 96 plus 48. That will give 122 and 2/3. Then subtract. So the next one is negative 8/3. Negative 8/3. Then minus 6. Then minus 12. That will give negative 20 and 2/3. So the moment you open this bracket, so you have 122 and 2/3 plus 20 and 2/3. So 122 and 2/3. You add 20 and 2/3. So this will give 143 and a third square units. So that is how you're supposed to solve that question.